2020. I think it's
Groundhog
Tuesday.
Day.
Yeah, it's Tuesday,
Yeah.
April 21st, 9 a.m. Welcome. Please be sure to continue to follow us on twitch.tv/inside participate, twitch.tv/ what is yours, Mr. Isaacs. Look at that, remembering it. That's great. And we're joined by Bob Irving, and we're going to be talking. We talked block-based coding and Python yesterday and Minecraft, and today we're going like full hog, for lack of better words, with Python. Steve, why don't you go ahead and introduce Bob? You know Bob well.
Yeah. Bob, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Good to be here.
Good. It's always great to spend time with Bob. Bob and I go way back. Bob has, I don't even remember when we exactly met or whatnot, but Bob came to a number of Mind fairs and did some sessions on Minecraft and Python. We hung out together, I believe, at CSTA a couple of years back, and it's just always a delight to see and spend time with Bob. Bob is my go-to guy for Python. I view him as my Python mentor. I believe he even goes by the nickname Crouching Python. But anyway, and Bob teaches at Porter Gaud, the private school down in South Carolina, and has been able to do all sorts of really neat stuff with his students there, a lot with coding and computer science and all. So let's have some fun with Python this morning. I got my setup ready. I'm ready to go.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks.
We would actually encourage anyone, if you're watching, follow along. I think Steve is following along as well. So this will be exciting.
Okay. So thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here this morning. And what I'm going to demo actually is not what I do in my classes as an intro, but I wanted to do something that was just easy peasy, lemon squeezy, that you could do. All you had to do was download Python, and it comes with a built-in development environment called IDLE, IDLE, which stands, I think, for Integrated Development Learning Environment or something. But anyway, so I'm going to just launch that. And so basically that's all you're going to need. A lot of the Python stuff that I do in my classes, it requires a Raspberry Pi or Pygame or things like that. So it's a lot more kind of front end loading you have to do. So I just thought this would be kind of fun to do. So we're just going to do some elementary stuff, and we're going to do what we call turtle graphics. So turtle graphics are in pretty much every programming language. And basically, it's just a way to draw on the screen. And people always wonder, yeah, okay, I get that. It's graphics, you're drawing on the screen, but what do turtles have to do with it? So I found a photograph, which I'm going to throw up here. All right. So this, I think, is from the late 1960s or early 70s. All right. And if you look at this, you can see that there's this kind of hemispherical thing here that's on top of this paper, and this girl over here is entering kind of code or directions through, and I don't even know what this little gizmo is, but anyway, they're having it draw as it moves over the paper. And the students who were playing with this thing that they developed at MIT named it a turtle because they say, oh, it looks like a turtle. So ever since then, we have turtle graphics. Okay, so that's why a turtle. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about why Python while I'm getting it up and loading here. So I'm just going to enter idle, and we're going to pull this up here, and I'm not going to sign in. All right, so this is called the shell in Python. All right. And you can tell it's the shell because it says right up here, Python 3.8.2 shell. And the shell is kind of where we can enter single commands into Python. Now, if we were going to code something that was more extensive, we'd open up another window and we'd go like File, New File, and it would open up something like this where you could put in like, hundreds of lines of code if you want. But we're not going to do that this morning. So we're just going to use the shell, alrighty? And so if you've been using Scratch or some other block-based environment and you feel like I'm ready to kind of take on text-based coding, I find Python is a great first language for a lot of reasons. One is that it's actually a real language, and it's used by real developers doing real things in the real world. And there are jobs out there, and so some introductory languages don't have that. So this does. It's a little bit more forgiving of mistakes that you might make, although, as you're going to see, I'll make mistakes and I'll get kinds of errors and stuff, but it's not quite as complex. Punctuation, white space, things like that don't. And it's got a lot of great libraries. And a library is a group of commands that you can import into Python that give you ways to manipulate other things. So there are Internet of Things libraries, and there are music libraries, and there are engineering libraries, and scientific and mathematical libraries. There are all these extra things that you can kind of bolt onto regular Python and then use those to create stuff. So we're going to use the Turtle library. And the way to start that is you just type in import turtle. Okay? Now, if I hit enter, we don't see anything happen, but you won't see anything happen because it's all happening behind the scenes. But now that we've done that, we have access to all the Turtle commands, and now we can start using it. Just so you know.
I just had a silly question about the libraries. So the libraries are all built into the Python, when you install Python. So they're all there. It's just a matter of which ones you're using at any given time.
Correct.
Okay. And
and you don't want to, but they're all there to be used, but then the Python would get impossibly slow and clunky if it automatically imported. There are actually thousands of libraries.
Yeah.
So they just kind of make, you just kind of grab what you need.
Right.
And then you go. Yeah.
And on a similar note then, does that mean there are probably additional libraries now, like that you could download separately, or do they just come with the next update of the shell?
Well, no, some of them are, like for instance, Pygame, you have to actually install separately.
Got it. Okay.
And there are others that are like that, but some are just kind of come with vanilla, I guess we could call it vanilla Python.
I see.
And Turtle is one of them, yeah.
Okay, so then Pygame, we would then download, install, and then it would be a library still kind of embedded.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And then, so in other words, you'd have to have it installed on your machine, and then you could say import Pygame.
Got it.
And it could go grab it from your machine, but it's not kind of right there. I guess the best way to say it. Okay.
And Bob, a question in the chat. Are libraries the same as APIs?
Libraries give you access to the APIs. Probably the best way to say it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So you can look up Python Turtle API, and you're going to see all the commands that we're pulling from today. Yes.
Great.
But they call the bunch of commands in the API a library. I hope that kind of makes sense. Okay. So anyway, so here we are in the chat, and we can enter commands right here. I think these things are called carets, aren't they? These little right angle brackets, or maybe carets are the ones that point up. I'm not really sure. But anyway, so the cursor blinking here means, okay, we're ready for you to enter a command. So I'm going to do that. Okay. So this is the first. So we need our window. So this is just a little bit of, we're going to call this. So one of the commands that we can get is called get screen. So we use what's called dot notation, which means we have turtle dot, not period, dot. So I always tell my students, if you want to sound like a real coder, you got to say dot, not period.
That's right.
And we're saying use that to get the screen. Okay. So if we do that, this happens, and then this pops up, and now we got a screen. All right, just gonna kind of drag this over here a little bit so they're kind of side by side, so we can see the magic happening over here. Okay, so this is up at the top left, Python Turtle graphics, and there is this little arrowy thing, and in dead center is called the turtle, Now you can actually change the shape of the turtle to a turtle if you want, or an arrow or a circle, or I think a triangle. It's a couple other things, but I think maybe for now we'll just leave it at this. So now we have a screen. Now here's the deal with every screen, 2D screen or 3D programming environment, you got to think what's where, where are we right now? And if you've done those Cartesian things in class, and you always wondered, what are these for? Like, who cares about X and Y? Well, now you're going to find out why. So the middle, which is where it's called the home position, is where the turtle goes in Python, is right here, and that is X, Y. X is 0, Y is 0, right in the exact center. Okay, so just as when you do, so if you go to the right on the x-axis, it's positive. If you go to the left, x becomes negative. So if you go this way, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You go this way, it's -1, -2, -3. And y also, okay, as you go up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -1, -2, -3. Okay, so that's kind of the way it works, and then you can kind of see how it is in the corners. But just so you have some kind of bearing. Okay, so let's do something with our turtle. Okay, so far it's pretty unimpressive, but let's see. So we're going to say we want the turtle to move forward. So we're going to say turtle dot forward, and it says when I do this, it says distance. Move, and we got a little bit of built-in help from idle. Move the turtle forward by the specified distance. So we'll say like 100. Okay, got to make sure that you close off your parentheses. And the other thing I tell my students, which is even more important than saying dot, is you have to say paren, okay? Not parenthesis, one parenthesis, because why? That's like 18 syllables. So we always say paren, okay? Now, when I hit enter, it's going to move forward. The question is, which way is forward? Well, the arrow gives us a clue, right? So if I do this, boom. Now, that's 100 watts, 100 feet, miles, milliseconds, cups, what is it? Well, it's pixels, right? And a pixel, of course, is a unit, a dot of light on your screen, all right? So it moved. And you'll also notice that as it moved, it drew. So the way to think about this is the turtle has in its hand, do turtles have hands? Yes, they do. Okay. It has a pen, and the pen can be either up or down. So if the pen is down, let's just do this. And by default, it is down. So let's do pen up. Turtle.pen up. Okay, now let's do turtle.forward. Paren 100, paren. So now he moved, but he didn't draw because his pen was up. He picked it up and he moved. All right, now let's, I want to get him back to where he was though. So let's do turtle dot backward 100. Okay, there, he's there. Okay, and let's see, let's just do something very simple. Like let's draw like a square. So we're gonna say turtle dot right. Now this is in degrees. So if I want to do a 90-degree turn right, I'm gonna say 90. Which way is right? Well, see? Now, so left, right, forward, backwards is all you have to, as I say, you got to be the turtle or imagine that you're riding on top of the turtle. So right is not according to what you're looking at the screen, above the screen, but as you're sitting on the turtle looking the way the turtle is facing. So right then, from our perspective, is down. Okay, now I'm going to say turtle dot forward 100. Oh, guess what I forgot to do, right? Did you guess? I forgot to put the pen back down, right? So put it back here, and then I say turtle dot pen down. Then I say turtle dot forward. Boom. Okay, now we're going to draw a square, kind of simple. So I would say turtle dot what? What do you think?
Right.
Exactly. Right is right. I'm going to turn. Now I'm going to go forward again. Turtle dot forward 100 paren. Boom. I'm going to do turtle dot right again because we're going to turn that in 90 degrees. And then turtle dot forward 100. Yeah, paren. 100 paren. Boom. Okay. So we've made a square. It's not particularly impressive, but hey, it's something. We drew something. So obviously, a couple of things here. First of all, I'm really tired of typing forward, backward, right, all that kind of stuff. So what we can do is we're going to go right turtle.rt. So we've got a little bit of built-in shorthand. I'll do that. And then if I want to do turtle.forward FD, same. Boom. Okay, so we can do RT, FD, LT for left, and BK for backwards. Let's just see if that'll work. Turtle.bk. We're going to go backwards. 100. If I did it right, yeah. Okay, so there we go. So let's just kind of reset stuff, and because that's kind of boring. Okay, so we can do turtle.reset. Okay, so that kind of clears the screen. Now let's kind of make it a little nicer looking. So we're going to do turtle dot. First of all, I'm going to do title, and this is going to put a title up there, and we're going to set it My Turtles Awesome Adventures, quote paren. Okay, and you can see up here, now that's our screen is captioned My Turtles Awesome Adventures. Oh, okay. Now let's change the background color because we just definitely need color. All right, so we're gonna make the background color. Okay, now this, you notice the help screen says star args, which is, if you're new to coding, is completely unhelpful, I think. Args is short for arguments, and arguments is not what you have with a friend sometimes, but it means a value or values that you stick in here that it's going to use to make the color. So there's several ways you can do this, okay? I can say I want it to be yellow. And it'll know what yellow is, but it's got to be in quotes or, no worky. There, boom. All right, so that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is with hex codes. And if you've got, by the way, if you've done any kind of HTML, you recognize the BG color, background color command. It's the same thing. It's just moved over here to turtles. But you'd have to go and kind of look up hex codes, and I don't know. Let's not spend the time doing that today. But the other one you can do, which I think is a lot easier, is you can do what we call RGB. Okay, red, green, blue. So if we give it 3 arguments separated by commas, it can mix the colors just the way you used to do in kindergarten. You take some red, some blue, some yellow, finger paint them together, and you've got a new one. Now, the way it does it by default is red is first, comma, green is second, comma, blue is last, comma. Now you put a value in there. So for instance, and the value has to be between 0 and 1. So 1 is full red. So if I do 1, comma, 1 red, 0, no green, and 0, no blue, let's see what happens. Okay. So I'm going to do, let's just change that up to 0, and we'll do green. Oops, not 21. 1. And boom. Okay. And just for fun, let's do green and blue together, which is going to give us that. All right. Now, the other thing that's kind of cool is you can mess with it and say, I want 0. Let's see. I'm going to make the the green a little bit less, so 0.5, halfway green, but full on blue. Okay, so now we're getting some colorful stuff, which makes it better than the black on the white. Okay, so anyway, so those are the hex colors that we can use already, and if we want to reset it, we can just do that. Now, let's change the color of the pen. So as you might guess, pen color. All right, and we can do it the same way. We could do, okay, I like this, and I'm going to make the pen. You can just type in like green, and it's going to choose a green. I don't know if this is going to look good, and full disclosure, I'm colorblind. So that means that if it doesn't look good, I take absolutely no responsibility for this, because so now if we say turtle dot forward 100, okay. And I'll be honest, I can't really. I'm kind of blue-green colorblind, which I've forgotten. So I don't know if that looks good or not. But anyway, so I can change the pen color to whatever, and I can do the same thing here instead of green. Now notice also, if it's a word, it's got to be in quotes, like green. If it's numbers, it doesn't. Okay. So let's say what would be good? Can you all give me some help here? What would be good on this background? Let's see, red, green. Let's do a little red, 0.5 and 0.5 of the green, and no blue. Let's see if that works. Okay. So nothing happened, but if I say turtle dot, we're going to turn them to the right again, 90 degrees. And then go forward 100. Let's see what it looks like. I couldn't tell you if that looks good or not. I got nothing. Okay, but anyway, that's we can change it. Now the other thing that we can do is we can actually change. You might say, well, that's really too skinny, and I want to be a bigger, bolder drawing. So fortunately for us, there is a pen size. Okay, now this is going to be in pixels. So let's say, what happens if we say it's 10 pixels? So now, from now on, until we change it again, the pen is going to draw with that size. Okay, so we're going to go right, 90 again, and then we're going to go, let's go forward 100. Whoa. That's too big, I think. So let's change the pen size to 5, I think. And let's go right. I'm just kind of cycling through these, and then go forward by 100, so I don't have to type them all over again. That's a little bit better. Okay. So, and that color is kind of mustardy. It doesn't look too good to me, but as I say, I'm colorblind, so I don't take any responsibility for that, okay? So anyway, as the turtle goes, he draws, unless, of course, we say, pick up the pen and do something different. So we're just going to kind of reset everything for now. And let's go back to there. Okay, so he's at the home position. He's at 0, 0. He is facing in the 0 degree, which is to your right as you're looking at the screen. And he's ready to do some more drawing. So let's see. So we've kind of erased everything. So one cool thing he has is that he can draw a circle. So turtle.circle. Now the question is, how big do you want it to be? And as it says right here, the number that we're going to put in here is going to be the radius. And that's going to be, of course, in pixels. So let's do 75. All right. All right. Interesting. Interesting, but not too beautiful. Okay. Let's think. So let's do the, let's make a fill color something. Okay. And let's not Truddle, but Turtle. And if we can do the fill color, and I'm going to make it, I think, yellow, so in quotes. All right. All right, so let's draw it again, and let's see if they'll fill it for us. Oh, it didn't. So, oh, you know what we have to do? We have to do the fill color. Oh, I know what we, okay. We have to do before that, we have to say begin the fill. So turtle dot begin underscore fill. And we're going to draw the circle. Then we're going to say end the fill. I believe it's the no. Now do we have to say turtle dot end fill at this point? There, yeah. Okay. So the thing you have to remember about computers, and this is what people are kind of puzzled by sometimes, is that computers are incredibly dumb. We think of computers as brilliant because they can do all this amazing stuff, but the truth of the matter is when you're coding them, they're incredibly stupid.
It's true.
And you have to tell them exactly what to do and exactly in the order. And that was the problem that I did over here, was I said, okay, draw the circle and then set the fill color. Well, that's the wrong way to do it, because I can't say set the fill color after you draw the circle. So then I said, okay, set the fill color, then draw the circle. Oh, no, that was wrong too. Then I had to say, okay, begin the fill. So the fill color is already set here. Then I say, okay, begin the fill. Then draw the circle. And then the thing that I didn't say, and which is why we didn't see it, was I didn't kind of turn that off. So that says end fill, and that then filled it. So that's kind of how that works. You have to remember if it's not working. Now, everything I gave was a legal Python command, so it didn't give me an error. For instance, if I did something like this, turtle, turtle dot end fill like this. All right, you can probably see the error, but if I hit enter now, boom, and in red, just like when you got your essays back from your English teacher, it's telling you no. Okay, now it tells you first of all what line it's on. Well, everything is line 1 in here. Okay, and in the module turtle.endfill, and here's the error: the module turtle has no attribute called endfill without any spaces. So a lot of times when you're starting this, you just see it just goes bleh, it throws you this big error, and it's all in red, and it looks like it's not quite English. And you're like, oh. So what I try to train my students to do is, okay, let's just not freak out, but let's look at it and see if we can figure out exactly what Python's trying to tell us. And so if you look at it, you can see right here, okay, the module turtle has no attribute endfill. Well, how does it, we clearly wanted it to end the fill. How does it not have that module? Because computers are dumb and they only know exactly what we tell them. So if I say this turtle.end underscore fill, no problems whatsoever, okay? If we say that, that's a problem because there's no underscore here. And so the problem is if you're handing in your essay to your English teacher, or I'm talking and I'm writing an email to somebody, the human being on the other side of that knows what I mean. Like that, of course, we mean, end the fill, stop it, okay? But Python does not know what that means. As far as it knows, it's something completely different, and it's just going to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so to help you, I'll give you this little error message, and hopefully you will be able to figure it out and fix it. So that's, welcome to the wonderful world of text-based coding, because it's so easy to make mistakes. I mean, let's do some mistakes here. Let's say I do end fill like that. That looks pretty good. And in some languages, that's kind of right. It's called camel case, where you put all the words together, and the first word is lowercase, and then every word after that is uppercase. So in some languages, that would be totally cool. Nope. Turtle has no attribute END, capital FILL, does not have it. All right. So what do? You have to figure out, you got to kind of peer at it and say, well, what's wrong? And then hopefully you've got your API open, or you've got something there, because it's not going to tell you what you meant to say. It doesn't know what you meant to say. It only knows what you said, and it has a very limited vocabulary, which is the API. And if you do it exactly the way it expects it, bam, it's going to work. If you don't do it exactly the way it expects it, bam, it is not going to work, and it'll give you this kind of ugly error message, and you're not going to be able to do whatever you want. Okay, so let's just for fun now, let's just reset, and we'll kind of get rid of that. So turtle.reset. Okay, now probably what you were thinking as I was typing in turtle.forward100, turtle.right90, turtle.forward100, turtle.right90, turtle.forward, if you've done any coding at all, you're thinking that is way too much work. And I'm with you on that one. That is way too much work. So the thing with computers and coding is you want to get the computer to do the grunt work, all the hard work. And I don't know about you, but I am a super lazy coder. And as I tell my students, all good coders are lazy, because you want the computer.
Efficient.
Oh, efficient. I teach middle schoolers, and they understand lazy way better than efficient. But you're right. You're right, Steve. Efficient is the correct thing. But I always say, well, why not have the computer do the work for you? Why would you want to type all that in? And I always say, like, if you've got code and it's this long, but you could make it this long, that's what you should do. So anyway, we're going to talk next about how to do what we call in programming a loop. And a loop is simply a way to loop through code a certain number of times, maybe forever, maybe just a certain number of times. So we're going to do some stuff that, and what they're called in programming, most of them are called for loops, FOR, for loops, just like that. Now, why are they called for loops? I have no idea. Does anybody know? Do either of you guys know why they're called for loops?
I do not.
No idea.
Isn't that crazy? So it's a weird, that's why in some programming languages, like Scratch, for instance, it'll say repeat, and then you put a number in, right? Repeat 4 times. Well, that makes perfect sense in English, but a for loop does not. And there's some lost in the midst of programming history. There's a reason for this, and maybe somebody will jump in the chat and tell us why, but I really don't. But anyway, we're called for
I'm where
loops.
the Crowns had a response there. She says, for this long, like do this.
Ah, for this long. Okay. That kind of makes sense, except that when I start typing in how we do it in Python, I think it's all going to break down because the rest of it doesn't make sense. But we're going to do it anyway, okay? So here's what you need in Python, okay? You need the word for, the keyword, and then you need a variable. Now, the variable is something, if you've used them in Scratch, you know what they are. It's kind of a placeholder for a value that can change as your program runs. And so we're going to name this variable. This is kind of a tradition. It's a convention that's used in a lot of programming languages. Doesn't have to be this. It could be that, but they usually say I, because I is short for integer. Okay? So we're going to say for I, and then the way we do it in Python, we say for I in range, and then I'm going to do it 4 times. Okay? For I in range, paren, number, paren. Okay? Now, the tricky thing here is at the end of a for loop, the one that starts it up, here's our mark of punctuation that this will either help you or kill you, but you have to use a colon, not a semicolon. Because if I use a semicolon, look what happens right away. Invalid syntax, syntax error, okay? And syntax is just punctuation. I guess would be the short way to do that, okay? So right away, I try to do something and Python kind of jumps ugly with me and says, nope, it can't do that. Okay, so if I do a colon, all right, now, and I hit enter, so it accepts that. And not only does it accept it, but you'll notice that the cursor is now indented under from 4, which is kind of like, let's say that's our left-hand margin. And we didn't get the carets at the left on that line, if you notice, all right? So basically, idle is saying, okay, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing now. You're going to set up a for loop, and everything in a for loop that we want to repeat has to be indented. This is the big gotcha in Python, is indentation. I'm just kind of putting it out there. If you don't indent everything kind of lined up perfectly, you have weird results. All right. Now, fortunately, it indented it for us. So as soon as I hit enter after the colon, it jumped down to here and it said, so now I can type something. So the question is, what do I want to repeat 4 times? Well, turtle dot forward 100. Okay. And one more thing. Now, if I hit enter again, I don't put a colon here. All right. Because right now I'm listing all of the statements that I want it to repeat. So if I just hit enter, you'll notice that it goes right to where the indentation should be. That's excellent. I like that. Okay. So Python is like working with us here. And then I'm going to say turtle dot right 90. So basically what I'm saying is I want you to go forward 100, turn right 90 degrees. Do that again. So every time through this for loop, it's going to change. This happens behind the scenes. It's going to change that I to a number. All right. So it starts at 1. And if you know anything about computer programming, most things start at 0. Python for loops start at 1. That's why we do 4. So for I in range 4. So it's going to do this 4 times. Go forward 100, turn right 90. Then it's going to loop around. It's going to change that I. You're not going to see it, but it's going to go to a 2. And then it's going to go, okay, forward 100, right 90, and then it's going to change to a 3, then it's going to do that again. It's going to change to a 4, and then it's going to say done, okay? So now here's the tricky thing. If you're working in the shell, which actually I never program in the shell, and I was kind of practicing this last night and found out, oh, that doesn't do what I thought it should. So if I hit enter, it thinks, okay, you want to do some more? You can add some more. So how do I get out of this? Well, you do control I'm on a PC, control enter, and I imagine it's command enter on a Mac. But if I do this, hold down the control and hit enter, boom, it did it. Did you see that? Magical, 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 magical. Okay, so let's do that again, but I just let's see, what can we do to make it a little bit more interesting? Okay, so that's not right. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to do for I in range. Let's just color it up a little, okay? So range, we'll do the boring square, but let's do turtle dot. Let's change the pen color to, let's try red. Okay. Now that could be somewhere else. I don't have to have it in the loop, but I'm going to do that, okay? Well, and before I do that, I'm going to change the speed of the turtle, so we can see it do its thing. Now, turtle.speed, right? Okay, I can return it or I set the turtle speed. So the turtle speed is from 0 to 10, 10 being the fastest. I think the default is 6. All right, so what you're seeing there is 6. So I'm gonna make it just 1. You could go down to 0 point something if you want, okay? Just so we can kind of see it and watch it do its thing, all right? and then we'd change pen color, and then we're going to do our turtle dot forward 100. Let's do 200 just so we can see it a little better. And turtle dot right 90. Okay, so that should, let's see if that works. I'm going to change pen color to red. It's going to change the speed to 1, forward to, I think that looks right. Now if I do control enter, it should go out kind of twice as far with a red. Nice. Nice. Now, why would you ever want it to do it slowly? Well, I think because sometimes it's just fun to admire your handiwork as it draws. But also sometimes if, you know, the computers run the commands, I don't know, 30 to 60 times a second. So sometimes it can happen so fast that if you've got an error or something that's not doing what you want, you can't really see where it went wrong. So a good way to debug, to find out why is this not doing what I want, is to slow it down, and this can do that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So that's a what we call a for loop. All right. So the way you do this, just to review here, you got to have it set up like that. For I or whatever in range. Okay, that's your variable. We use I as a convention for integer. In space, range, paren, and then a number here, okay? How many times do you want to do it? We were saying 4. And then it's going to go through all of these things that are indented. It will do 4 times, okay? So that's kind of cool, kind of interesting, but not spectacular. So the other kind of loop, which is like a for loop, is called, excuse me, a while loop. So we're going to do a while loop here, okay? Now, let's see, what's the best way to do this? So I'm going to set, why is it not letting me do this? Okay, sorry. Let's see, I equals, and I'm going to set the variable outside of the loop, and I'm going to set it to 10, okay? So I equals 10. Now, I guess what I need to do really right now is to reset everything so that we don't have those there. Okay, now I'm going to set up a while loop, and a while loop, I've set I to 10, and it goes like this. While I is, and if you remember from math class, that's less than or equal to, let's say, 100. All right? So we're going to loop through. We're going to change the value of I every time through this loop. And we're going to do it until I is either while that number is less than or equal to 100. And again, just as we did with the for loop, you got to hit your colon right there, and it will help us out by indenting to there. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have the turtle draw a circle. Now here's some of the trickiness that we can add. We're going to ramp it up. Hope everybody's ready. So what is the radius going to be? All right. Now we're ready for some cool codiness stuff. We're going to say the radius is n. I'm sorry, I. Got what I named the variable. Okay. So how is I a radius? I is clearly not a radius. I is a letter. So what the heck? All right. But what we're saying is, take that, whatever is in that variable, and as we kind of loop through, make that the radius. So the first time we draw a circle, it's going to be 10 because we've set I to 10. Now, within our loop, we're actually going to change that. And here is one of the ways, anyway, which I think is kind of the most intuitive way to see how to make that number go up. Or as we say in computer language, increment. So basically, now this takes a little bit of explanation here. So kind of hang with me on this because it's not what you would expect from math. It's this little dude right here. That little equal sign does not mean in Python, in most programming languages, what it means in math class. All right? This is what we call an assignment operator. And what we're doing is we're assigning the value. We're changing the value of I. what are we changing it to? We're changing it to what? Now, this is the other tricky thing, is you assign from right to left. Now, I know in math you go from left to right, right? But no, not here. So basically, we're gonna take what I is, we're gonna add 10 to it, and we're going to assign it to I, which means we're gonna, and I realize that's a little confusing, but remember that a variable is a place in memory where you can store a value that can change. All right? So we're going to change that value. And how are we going to change it? We're going to add 10 to it. And we're going to assign it. And then we're going to make the new value of I is going to be whatever it was here, 10 more. Maybe it would be easier just to show it happening. I'm not sure, but I don't want us to kind of get through that without really getting the concept of what it's doing. So basically, we're going to say, draw a circle, the radius I, and as long as I is less than or equal to 100, it's going to draw a circle. So let's just see what happens, and maybe that will help us. So again, I hit enter. It went to the indented spot. So to run it, I've got to hold down Control or Command if you're on a Mac. Control Enter. Okay. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, and boom. All right. So what happened there? Okay, well, you can see that we have, I think, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Should be 10.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's 9. Because it's, I think we said, well, anyway, it's 9 circles. So what happened in the code here, is that right? Did I count that right?
Yeah, well, it started at 10, right? So the first.
Yeah, it starts at 10. Yeah, exactly. If I had set this to 0, yes, it would have been 10, right, Steve? Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, if I set this to 10 in my loop, well, let's try that and see what happens, okay? I'm going to, now you'll notice that I set the value of the variable I to 10 outside. So while I is less than or equal to, and actually the spaces, I always get that question, do spaces matter? Usually, no, they don't. So why not? Now I'm going to say I equals 10. So I'm going to set it in the loop. Oh, I'm going to say, let's see, where'd it go? Okay. I equals 10. And while I is less than or equal to 100, which is what I did before, and I'm setting it to 10, but I'm doing it in the loop. Now, see if you can guess why that's going to create a problem. Okay. And I'm going to do everything else is going to be the same. I equals I plus 10 plus 10. Okay. All right. So I have exactly the same lines as I have up here. All right. I have I equals 10, except that instead it's in the loop, and I have the while I is less than or equal to 100. I may draw the circle using I set it to 10, and then I changed it. I assigned it to bump it up to 1. Okay, just out of curiosity, so let's, you know what? I probably should have reset this before I did that. But anyway, let's see if we can see it happen here, okay? I'm going to do Control Enter. Let's see what happens. What?
Well, it's doing the same circles it did, right? So right now, for the first at least 9 of them, it's just going to be drawing right over them, isn't it?
Yes.
And
But what happened was, in this loop, even though I set this, let's say the first time through, I set it to 10, right? Here, then that's going to make it to 20, but then I go back to the beginning of the loop, and it sets it back to 10. And then
right.
I do turtle.circle with I. Yes, well, what's I at this point, the next time through the loop?
10.
It's 10.
Yeah.
And then it goes, so we go down here, and I say, okay, then add 10 to I, assign it to the new value, which is 20. You say, okay, good. And then it goes up here, though. back to the beginning of the loop, and it says
So-
I equals 10.
So
and
it should be
resets it.
infinite. It should be infinite then, right? And if anything, it should be either getting darker or like Steam Cultivator said, we should at least see the turtle moving around.
Right. But for some reason, I don't know why it didn't. But anyway, so that's why it's important to make sure that if you set your initial variable, it's not set while in the loop, because that'll continually reset your variable back to what its original value was, and then you're not going to see any coolness. Okay, so let's just reset here, and let's just try a little bit of something here. Okay, so basically, let's do a let's see, let's make some squares. But let's make it a little bit different, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do for I in range, let's do, I don't know, let's do 50, right? With a colon, okay. Now, let's see, so we're going to have our turtle dot FD. We're going to go forward 100. All right, we're going to do right. Turtle dot right 90. Yeah, I think that would work. Okay. Actually, let's do this. Let's do 45 and see what would happen. Okay. And I'm going to do this 50 times. Going to go forward by 100, and I'm going to turn right a 45-degree angle. I don't even know what's going to happen, I'll be honest. So let's see what happens here. Oh, that does that. Okay, and it's going to do it 50 times because I'm always changing that, right? So now what I need to do to really make this super duper awesome would be to take this and put this out of a loop and do some code in not in the shell, and that would allow us to do that. But what if we did this? Okay, let's try one more time. Okay, what do we got? Like 5 minutes here, guys, or so?
Yep, that's 7, 8.
Okay. So let's do for I in range 25. Colon again. Okay, turtle dot forward. Let's do 100 would work. You know what? Before I do all that, let's just reset. Okay, and then we're going to do for I in range. We said what? 25 colon. Okay. Whoops! What did I do? Can you see what I did? Invalid syntax. What's my invalid syntax?
Forgot the I in range.
Exactly. I typed an I, but it was in the word in, and it said no. You're not going to get away with that. Turtle dot forward 100. Now I think what we're going to do here is then turtle dot. You know what? Let's. I'm trying to make this kind of as simple as possible so that I'll understand what I'm doing. Okay, do that. Turtle 100, and then do turtle dot forward 100. Yeah, and then turtle. This is actually, as you say, Steve, inefficient.
Mm-hmm.
It's way too much work for me. So what if we make this like 100? Okay. I don't know what this is going to draw, but let's see. Okay, Control Enter.
Nice. I love that about. So, a couple things.
There we go. That was kind of what I was going for, but I wasn't quite sure the best way to get to it.
Now the ion range again is the 25 is basically it's doing it 25 times because
Correct.
the while or the for I equals I plus 1 would have all been the same, or I is less than or equal to 25 or whatnot.
Right. It's basically kind of the same thing. You can just, it's just two ways to do it. So one, it kind of does it until it gets to something.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what I love about this, just to kind of as we're winding down, we taught logo a lot in our school, and this is completely based on logo, which is neat. So it's a great introduction to both Python, but also bringing back the joy of logo. And the drawing aspect is so great because it brings in that creative side and definitely helps us cross a lot of times even gender barriers and things when it comes to coding and all that. And what we used to do a lot, and I'm sure if you're doing it in the editor and not the shell, I'm guessing you could do the kind of stuff we used to do where we would get into functions and then you would type into the shell just the function and it would start doing stuff. And
right.
And then you get into the neat stuff. Like we used to do projects where the project would be build a house and it was out of a number of functions and
right.
It gets really cool. But that spirograph thing is so neat. I mean, there's so much great fun to be had here while genuinely learning a legit programming language, which I love.
Yes, I would say amen to that because and I haven't really, if you think about this, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can change the pen color, the pen size, you can change the background. So then you want to get kind of crazy creative with color. And the thing that I love about the Turtle graphics is you see the results of your code immediately. And a lot of times, coding is code, and then you run it and it either works or doesn't work and you're not sure why or where. But here you get instant feedback. You get an error message if it's not working, and you get instant feedback if it does work. And then you can look at this and you can say, oh, that's cool, but wouldn't it be better if, I changed the pen color? Or I could change the pen color every time it drew the kind of the square or whatever it is. And then we'd have all kinds of cool colors. So hopefully, we've been able to get from kind of ground zero in Python, just download, run idle, run the editor, do some cool stuff with your Turtle. And as you said, the next step would be you're going to go to the window, you do file, new file, and then in here you can make functions, or as they call it, definitions, and do all kinds of more complex stuff. The Turtle itself has even cooler. I don't have my API up, but you can have it respond to mouse clicks and cursor positions and things like that. So you can do some interactivity with it as well. So there's a lot of amazing stuff that you could do. Maybe that would be, lesson 2 or something. But
lesson 2.
This is just enough to kind of get you started. And I always tell my students, it's like being a wizard. Having the power of code is you can make stuff happen, and it's magical in a way. You do have to spend time. Like if you went to Hogwarts, you'd have a lot of classes and you'd have to really learn stuff. But once you get it, it is magical because then you can create, whatever you can imagine. So that's the awesomeness of it. So I recommend Python if you're moving on from block-based programming and you want to try the next thing. There's a lot more. Eventually, you're going to get a lot more power from text-based coding. Nothing against block-based. There's a lot you can do. It's amazing. But anyway,
there
we go. Yeah, and I'm Crouching Python. Thank you so much for having me. You guys keep being awesome. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Keep being awesome.
So thanks everyone for watching. This was great. And we'll have this up on YouTube shortly because I'm sure this is one that people will want to go back to. It'll be on the Participate YouTube channel and on Steve's YouTube channel much quicker than it will be on Participate for sure, because that's just the way it goes. We're back this afternoon. What do we got going on this afternoon at 3:00? I'm not sure I even remember. There's so much going on. I think are we playing Minecraft?
Well, we are playing Minecraft. We were supposed to do the I think we were looking at our roller coaster thing, but
Yeah.
I got pinged yesterday from some folks who've been doing some hardcore Minecraft dungeons and are thinking about, at one point doing some multiplayer with us. So I don't know if we'll throw that in there, but I'll see what they're up to.
I need a key.
I know.
What is going on? This is an emergency. Someone needs to share with me their Minecraft Dungeons key.
Get Mike a Dungeons key.
I need to be able to play this afternoon at 3:00.
All right, let's try to make that. Why don't we if we can make that a goal? That would be a great goal.
That would be awesome. All right, everybody. We will see you at 3:00. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Bye-bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Bob. Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.